the haka. And wait for the crowd to react at the end of this. They've been doing this for many years on their tours to Australia, and for that matter, all around the world. And so the 5/8 for New Zealand, Gordon Smith, to get the game underway. And to receive from the kick-off the Queenslanders, a confident take by the young fullback in the side, Tony Curry of Western Suburbs, only 19 years of age, and he takes play outside the quarter line. Cadescu from dummy half. Playing in Aliu's third game for Queensland today. Hancock, the man that's recovered from that injured cheekbone. Carr on the break, but he's well wrapped up by the big second row forward, Graham West. Cadescu in again now to dummy half for Queensland, and it goes out to Murray, then on to Wally Lewis, out to Gene Miles. He saw the gap, beat the tackle of Smith. Meninga in the clear, Chalice on the outside, his South's teammate. There's the pass. Chalice will score in the opening minute. What a great start for Queensland.
What a very good try to Queensland. Straight into top gear. The forwards took it for 2 rucks, and then they threw it wide. Here it is to Lewis. And this fellow Miles is improving every game. A beautiful short pass to Meninga. And this guy is improving. Actually, I thought he was going to run his winger into trouble, but he drew the 2 men beautifully. And what a great debut for this fellow Chalice. He'll have a great game now.
Certainly is, Mick. He's only a youngster from the under-18 stateside from last year, but this really is a great break by Gene Miles. He sizes up the 5/8 Smith, pushes him off, as well as the centre Whittaker. Now he's a seasoned player, Whittaker, and look at this break by Meninga. Drew the fullback, Kemble, stood him up beautifully, got the pass away, and there's the 2 leading try scorers in the Brisbane Premiership, Meninga and Chalice combining, and young Chalice going over in his debut match for Queensland.
Was certainly well drawn. Meninga knew what he was doing out there when you saw the head-on shot there, no doubt about it. Drew both men beautifully. Now he's set up for the kick.
So Mal Meninga has scored 70 points for Queensland since coming in 1981. Moving in, there's the kick. But it's waved away. So the scoreline sees the Queenslanders lead by 3 points to 0, and we've had just over 2 minutes of play in this first half. Well, Mick, I'm sure that that's the start that Seth Mountford didn't want for this New Zealand side. They really have their backs to the wall now.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. I was quite surprised. Particularly, you said Whittaker. Well, Gene Miles went round the 5/8 and round the centre and put Meninga away beautifully there. And that's not good defence. And they have had good defence up until now. They'll have to improve.
Cadescu lost the ball. That's Tamati, the big prop forward from Wellington. And that's his cousin Howie Tamati from Taranaki, moving into dummy half. They come on the blind side through Gall. Gall's wrapped up in the tackle, got it back to the wing 3/4 Gary Prom, and he's a very interesting character. The last test match here in 78, he played in the second row for New Zealand. There's West wrapped up. The lock forward there is McGann, the big Auckland back row forward, 6'2.5" he stands. And Friends drop the ball, and we'll see a scrum go down centre of the field, midway between the half and the quarter line at Queensland's end of the ground.
Clayton Friend, well, big match jitters there a little bit. You'll want to get rid of those very quickly, or Queensland will really run away with it.
So a penalty against the feed by Mark Murray. And the penalty goes to New Zealand. There's the kick for touch by Gary Kemble from Auckland in New Zealand. Has also had experience playing with Hull in England and scored a try in Hull's replay win over Widnes in the Challenge Cup. Tamati, long pass to Friend. He's stood up in the tackle. Finally, Niebling comes in to assist Cadescu in that tackle for Queensland. Tamati, West, pass out to Smith. Luluai threw a bad pass, picked up by O'Hara, and he's wrapped up on the far side by Chalice.
Well, I'm not impressed with the New Zealanders so far. Their attack is non-existent. There's another spilt ball, another error, and you just can't do this in international football and get away with it. Not against a class side like Queensland, and they've proved themselves to be class.
Well, the last time these two sides met was back in 1967, and Queensland won that game by 15 points to 6. And incidentally, Mick, on that occasion, Queensland had 2 coaches, Des Crow and Ripper Doyle.
Actually, I don't want to say how old I am, but I can remember back that far, and Yes, it was quite a novelty, but it was successful. They proved to be a good combination.
So Kemble again to look for touch on that far side. And now New Zealand with the chance to launch an attack from inside the Queensland quarter line. Tamati to McGann, switch of play. And again, the man losing the ball was Taranaki's Bruce Gall, and Queensland regained the possession inside their own 22. Murray, Niebling. That's a great run by Brian Niebling. Takes play up to the quarter line. Queensland still in possession. Murray again. Had a great game the other night against New South Wales, and must be in line at least for a kangaroo jumper, if not an Australian jumper, for the first test match at Lang Park here next weekend. Kinescu, Khan, Meninga tried to break them out wide, but obviously the New Zealanders regard Mal Meninga as a danger man because O'Hara came in there to combine in that tackle. Paul Khan, wrapped up over the top by Bruce Gall.
Queensland is not running onto the ball either at this stage, the forwards, standing like Wally was standing then, but he's going places now.
Lewis up over halfway, long pass to Chalice, he's going for the corner, pass back into Niebling, in fact to Carr, and finally Curry was the man that picked the ball up for Queensland. That's on tackle number 6, but again Queensland breaking that first line of defence of New Zealand.
And certainly doing it easily, because when Wally received the ball he was flat-footed. There's Greg Kinescu from North's Pack 94, 156, 60% rate. On this occasion, putting that percentage up a little.
So Queensland on the attack again. They're only about 2 or 3 metres out from the New Zealand line. They lead by 3 points to 0. The try in that first minute of play. And again, referee Eddie Ward is elected to pack another scrum down, but it's just outside the New Zealand try line. So the touch judge in from the far side. And the man being spoken to is the big 14.5 stone prop, Kevin Tamati. So the scrum goes down, a vital one for both sides. The man on the blind wing for New Zealand, the number 5, is Dane O'Hara. Has also played with Hull in England. And it appears that New Zealand have won the scrum. So O'Hara to his feet and plays the ball. Friend immediately claimed in the tackle. He's to his feet. That's West, the captain, the tour captain.
They're still standing flat-footed, David, and they will not go anywhere unless they run onto the ball.
Well, Rod Morris, as he's come to do in the Brisbane Premiership, all over the top of the man playing the ball, and Eddie Ward, being a local, knows that only too well, Mick.
Yes, he's just proved that. Oh, well taken by young Tone Curry.
But a very bad blunder, Mick, by New Zealand not putting the ball out and not getting the ball back for the 6 tackles. So the problem child there was Gary Kemble, the New Zealand fullback. He's learnt the lesson that he must put the ball into touch. So Queensland with the ball again through Murray, through the dummy, stepped under the very high one of the prop forward Gall. Khan takes it up to that first line of defence of New Zealand. He was claimed by West. Now Morris, the pass to Lewis. Lewis fended one off, looked for the support. But the man that wrapped him up was Tony Cole. And Brisbane fans will remember that he played in the test match here in 1978, scored a try, and in fact was the leading try scorer on that 1978 tour by New Zealand.
Well, the game hasn't climbed to any great heights, and that's unfortunate. Of course, still plenty of time to go in this first half, 31 minutes. But quite frankly, I thought both sides would be playing more attractive football than they are and not making as many mistakes.
So another scrum win to New Zealand. Clayton Friend in his debut match wrapped up about 15 metres short of halfway. Tony Cole from the West Coast made his debut in 1972 in the World Cup for New Zealand. Graham West, he's been capped 12 times for the Kiwis. He played in all 5 tests in that tour of England and France. There's the kick by Luluai. Tony Curry takes it from just inside touch, has the support of Backer, beats 1 tackle, beats 2, but Luluai wraps him up just short of halfway. New Zealand leading the scrums 2-0, and the penalties also going New Zealand's way 2-0. Gene Miles to his feet, plays it to Kinescu. Murray, that's Niebling running out wide. Lewis, the man slotting into dummy half, feeds Morris first man up, a long pass to Khan. He comes up over halfway. Miles splits them once again. Carr, his progress is halted. And finally wrapped up over the top by Kemble. Conescu going into dummy half, out to Wally Lewis. Long pass out to Murray. In fact, cut Murray out and gives it to Meninga. And he bursts through Whittaker's tackle once again. Through a bad pass, redeemed by Murray. And Queensland lost about 5 or 10 metres in that move. Lewis, there's the kick. Queensland get it back for 6 more tackles. And it's young Chalice, the man that regained possession for Queensland. Conescu, head down, claimed by the second row forward Tony Cole, and also by Tamati. Murray, that's Khan, through the dummy. Support there of Niebling. Backing up is Miles, and he's caught 3 or 4 metres short of the quarter line. So Queensland on the attack again. Murray a dummy half to Morris. Great run by Lewis. Lewis will score. Wally Lewis over. So Wally Lewis scores his 3rd try for Queensland in a debut from 1980, and he scored against the Tourists.
And here it goes on the replay, and once again Wally Lewis coming inside. Look at the defence, pass 2, pass 3, and showing tremendous acceleration as he went away to score that. And all the time looking to me like the Australian 5'8", and I'm not sounding biased because he's producing the goods. Look at this from head on.
Well, I'm sure that New Zealand will have to tighten this defence up in the test matches against Australia, but what a great moment for Wally Lewis. And there he is in picture, the Queensland captain, who made his debut in 1980, but was in fact a reserve against Great Britain here in 1979.
Well, I have to say it, the New Zealand defence in tatters at present, and looking as though it's going to get even weaker as the game progresses.
So Mal Meninga missed with the conversion attempt of his South teammate Wayne Chalice try, now with a chance to convert his captain's try, Wally Lewis, and he's done just that. So Queensland lead by 8 points to 0 in a very impressive start against the Kiwis. Well, New Zealand now with the job ahead of them, Mick, trailing by 8 points to 0 with just about 13 minutes of play gone in this first half.
Yes, and they've won the scrums 2-0. The penalties have favoured them, and they don't seem to be able to hold onto the ball for more than 2 tackles. And quite frankly, their attack is non-existent. It's just not there. The backs aren't lining deep in attack. Even their straight line in defence isn't good.
Well, the Kiwis, if you remember, lost the 3 test match series in 1978 against Australia. In fact, lost the second test here at Lang Park by 38 points to 7. And unless they tighten it up, it could be a cakewalk test series for Australia again. But remember that this side will be strengthened with the inclusion of 3 top players, Mark Graham, Mark Broadhurst, and also Olsen Filipina of Sydney, and the big chance that Fred Arcoy could also be in that side, Mick.
Yes, the 2 latter chaps you mentioned are languishing in reserve grade at present in Sydney, but still, by the look of this out here, they certainly need shoring up with a little bit of strength somewhere in the side. Of course, there's still quite a long way to go in the game, but I don't like their chances at present, New Zealand.
So a New Zealand scrum win. That's Clayton Friend wrapped up in the tackle. Oh, that's a bad mistake again by New Zealand. And the referee there to detect the knock-on. Ball picked up there by John Whittaker, the vice-captain of this New Zealand side. That's the error count. New Zealand have made 5 mistakes to Queensland's 3. And remembering we've just had over 13 minutes of play gone in this first half. Penalty, feet up in the tunnel by the hooker Howie Tamati. He was the number 2 hooker on the New Zealand tour to England, but is now ranked the number 1 striker in this Kiwi lineup.
Correct me, there's Mark Murray. I believe he has a bit of a bad cut there, but correct me if I'm wrong, David, but is it my imagination, or is New Zealand looking totally disinterested in this game up till now?
Well, they haven't impressed me one bit, Mick. They haven't hung onto the ball for more than 2 tackles. Their defence has been non-existent. Queensland have sensed that. They lined out deep in attack, switching the point of play through Morris, and now Khan running wide, and that defence looks very feeble indeed out wide, and particularly around close to the ruck. So now Queensland attack again through Murray to Lewis. The long pass to Meninga. the dummy throw-in. It wasn't taken on that occasion, and the little man that nipped in was the halfback Clayton Friend, Morris. He goes to ground pretty quickly through the tackle of the big lock forward McGann. Canescu to Murray. Oh, he stepped under the big one from Tamati. There's Hancock on the boil. The pass has gone astray, and who's come up with it? It appears that New Zealand have regained possession through the prop forward, Bruce Gall.
McGann, the lock forward for New Zealand, is down.
Tamati got it away to Tony Cole. Some solid defencemen in that time by Queensland through Rowan Hancock. Now Gary Prom, as we mentioned, played here in the second row in that test match, doing a bit of work of the forwards there at the moment, because I think he senses that the Queensland pack are not working as a pack at the moment. Friend out to Luluai, now out to Whittaker. Support through a beautiful dummy, but good defence on the far side by Chalice in his debut match.
Oh yes, he's having a great game. He'll remember this one, and there's the high kick.
Tony Curry, he spilled it, knocked it backwards. The referee says play on. Curry threw a beautiful dummy. Backer beat the tackle of Bruce Gall, but couldn't beat Big Tamati. Lewis, long pass to Murray. Rowan Hancock brushed off a tackle. Nelly an intercept. Meninga beat O'Hara, and good cover defence that time by McGann. But certainly Mal Meninga is making the breaks today. He told me before the game that cherished prize, the green and gold jumpers at stake this afternoon.
Tell you what, he's looking very good indeed. And that's the high point of attack so far in this game. Ball being thrown around by Queensland for quite a long time.
So New Zealand with the ball now, trying to work it out from that quarter line. The man wrapped up was Tony Cole. Tamati appeared to knock it on. And again, some solid defence. No one on the blind side. Now the Kiwis going on the blind through their captain West. Through the dummy. Got the pass away to Kemble. Now to Prom. Support there of McGann, but he's lost it. Well, again, another fundamental error by the New Zealanders. So as we see the scrum pack down, we see New Zealand dominating possession, although New Zealand leading by 8-0. They've won 4 scrums to 0 and have 2 penalties to 0. And we've had just on 18 minutes of play in this first half.
Oh, unbelievable. Actually, once we get going in broken play, I will point out what's wrong with the New Zealand, well, if I haven't already, but they're getting into a big bunch in attack and not lined out at all with a deep line of attack in the back line.
Another good strike by Tamati. Friend caught well by Lewis. Strong defence by the Queensland captain. Tamati, West. Oh, again towed through. Murray's towed it through. But the referee's whistle's gone. Play will come back right to the halfway line, where we'll see another scrum go down. So, very impressed so far with Wally Lewis. He's another player that is cementing a test spot here this afternoon. Murray to feed the scrum for Queensland. Today playing his 5th match in the maroon colours. His first match was in 1981 against New South Wales at Leichhardt Oval. On that occasion, he played as a 5'8". Murray on the blind side with Curry. He came on in his debut match against New South Wales in that deciding State of Origin game last Tuesday night as a replacement for Norm Carr. There's the kick by Lewis, rolling end on end. What a great kick, Mick.
Yes, actually, I think after he kicked it, he was hoping it wouldn't go into touch because Brad Backer was zooming up after it. But I'm most impressed with Curry, and he's doing everything right. There's a bit of a dummy there, and a couple of moves back in attack was nothing short of brilliant. Having a great game. Here
now
he is
Curry's
again.
In the back line, running square, ran into the solid defence of Luluai. And also the fullback Kemble. Now Murray, turning it back inside to Meninga again. The big 16-stone south centre just brushes off defence. Miles, Morris, turned it back in, the pass looked forward, and quite rightly so. He had support on the outside, he had it on the inside, and Rod Morris threw the forward pass, and Niebling ruled offside.
Correct decision. How unfortunate too, because Backer was unmarked. And if the ball had come out, I feel he could have gone round and put it under the post. And unfortunate for Niebling too, because he was the guy backing up on the inside.
Battle of scrum possession there, the scrum twisting and wheeling. And the referee quite obviously is not happy with that pack.
Terrible scrums. I think Koneskie's having a bit of problems there with his front row.
Well, a penalty goes against the halfback Clayton Friend for an incorrect feed, and a chance now for Queensland to keep the pressure on the Kiwis. Wally Lewis will be intent on just putting it into touch, and now we'll see if the Maroons can launch yet another attack inside that 22. Just on 20 and a half minutes gone in this first half. Lewis, there's that long pass again to Khan. Through two dummies, Meninga on the burst, straight through. Oh, Meninga's causing plenty of headaches out there this afternoon. Niebling from dummy half on the blind side to Morris again. Quite interesting that Rod Morris is the leading try scorer for Queensland since he came in 1975. He scored 8 tries. He scored 4 in his first match for Queensland against the rest in 1975.
Actually, I feel the forwards for Queensland are getting in the way of the back line. They want to keep out of it and let the backs do their work because they're proving successful. They should tighten up the forwards, Queensland forwards, get inside and let the backs do the job.
Mark Murray through the dummy, through the gap. Chalice, he'll score again. That's a try. Wayne Chalice scores his second try this afternoon, and Queensland lead by 11 points to 0.
Oh dear me. I think the floodgates are open. Look at this. Bit of a dummy by Mark Murray, and the wingers come looking for the ball successfully, and I tell you what, wrong-footed the fullback. He just ankle tapped him, but good enough to get over the line.
And again we see some very poor defence by the New Zealanders. The simple dummy, the pass was unloaded, and that's great backing up from that right wing by Chalice. Through the gap, showed a clean pair of heels, and although he stumbled on the sidestep, he really outstripped the fullback Kemble, and over he goes for the try.
Well, he'll remember his debut for Queensland, and that's for sure.
And he's only 19 years of age, and I'm sure the crowd at Lang Park will remember it for quite a while too, Mick. What an impressive debut by the young Souths winger. So Mal Meninga, his teammate from Souths, has the kick lined up. Moves in. There's the kick. It hit the post. No goal. So Queensland lead New Zealand by 11 points to 0. 23 minutes of play gone in this first half. And so for the fourth time in the match, New Zealand restart play. Backer takes the ball inside his own quarter line. Took the second row forward on Tony Cole, but was wrapped up in the tackle. Konescu goes into dummy half. Feeds Rod Morris. He comes straight to Tamati. Wrapped up on the 10-metre line just outside the Queensland quarter. Wally Lewis takes it first man up off the ruck. The long pass with the switch of play. And there's the gap again by Niebling. Through the pass back in field to Khan, and he spilled it. Well, this New Zealand defence is in absolute tatters.
Actually, Khan should have held onto that one, and you're right. Niebling just waltzing through the middle. Just a bit of a slow up with his acceleration and then accelerated, and they open up. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be one hell of a score by the end of the afternoon, unless New Zealand do something about it. Their cover defence around the ruck is non-existent, and they're that soft up the middle. They're like, hey, they're like a hot knife going through butter, the Queenslanders at present.
Well, the two hookers being spoken to there by Eddie Ward, and he's having quite a bit of trouble with the scrum here this afternoon. There's no tunnel there whatsoever. It's fed. It's won by New Zealand. Friend again skirts the open side. Kemble came in, intercept. Put your glasses down. Mal Meninga will walk across and score. What a dreadful mistake by New Zealand.
Oh, what a try. 14-0 it is. And big Mal Meninga, you will see it here. Look at that. He said thank you. The big hand went up. It was like a plate. The ball struck it squarely. And I suppose at that stage, everyone thought the referee had blown his whistle, but Mal was just taking it easy.
So Meninga lines the kick up from in front. He's been sweating on that intercept all day. And we'll see the replay again after this kick by Mal Meninga, but he's been sweating on it, as I mentioned, right through the proceedings this afternoon. No trouble raising the extras. Up go the flags. And so it's 16 points to 0 in favour of Queensland. And here it comes. This is a dreadful mistake. There's the intercept by Meninga, and he just lopes across. Has a look around, no one in support as far as cover defence is concerned, and he stops and just places the ball under the posts. So the kick-off taken by Norm Carr, and with the scoreline of 16-0, Mick, it's quite surprising that New Zealand are leading the scrums by 6-2, but have done nothing with it.
Oh, they don't seem to be able to do anything with it at all. They have no attack at all. Actually, words fail me to explain what's going on out there. But they're playing very mediocre football indeed, and any A-grade side in Brisbane would perform better than they're performing so far out there this afternoon.
So it's not a very good sign for the coming test matches, but I know that New Zealand always lift themselves for the tests. The first one, in fact, is here in Brisbane next weekend, and Seven have secured the exclusive rights of the coverage of the test match in 1982. So be watching your newspapers for the times of telecast on Channel 7 for Australia versus New Zealand. But I'm sure, Mick, that a big lift in performance will be needed against Frank Stanton's boys. 14 errors already in this first half. But I'm sure when these news creep through to New South Wales that Frank Stanton will be licking his lips.
Oh, yes, he'll be out to endeavour to put as many of his... Here's Meninga away again.
Got the pass away beautifully. Oh, Brad Becker will score. Easy try, but the pass has been ruled forward. I don't agree with that one.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
That was a brilliant bit of play by Meninga, and Brad Becker can consider himself very unlucky that that try wasn't awarded. Have a look at it again.
Here it is. Watch him pop it up. Now, that's not forward. Here it is. Now, Becker comes. Look, he flicked it out and around beautifully.
That angle probably didn't show it as well as we saw it here, Mick. It happened right in front of our broadcast box. But Brad Becker's been denied. But what a brilliant bit of play by Mal Meninga.
Oh, he's in full flight. And enjoying himself by the look of it out there.
16 stone of muscle, Mal Meninga. He split New South Wales wide open here at Lang Park about 3 weeks ago, twice in the space of a minute, and he's playing havoc with the New Zealanders this afternoon. Well, let's see if New Zealand can hang on to it for 6 tackles. Kemble. He's through, up over halfway. Chips the fullback. Kemble will give him the race to the ball. Gary Kemble will score for New Zealand. Yes! So as he did for Hull in the match against Widnes, Gary Kemble scores New Zealand's first try, 16-3 the scoreline.
And you would have to say that this try is an accident. They run the ball up New Zealand. Ball taking up, there's the drop ball. Here he is, screwing out of a couple of tackles. He gets into heaps of trouble because he has no support, so he kicks ahead. He caught young Curry unawares. Hancock was very close, hoping Kemble would tow the ball a little further, but a fair try to him. But look at that, the defence, Gene Miles it was who missed him, and away he went, but he had no support. Those New Zealand players behind him well away from him, so he had to short kick ahead, showing good football sense actually, and just in time to put it down.
So the 5/8 Gordon Smith with the attempted conversion that would make the scores 16-5 in favour of Queensland, with the ball placed. There's his kick. It's waved away, so the scoreline is 16 points to 3 in favour of Queensland. We've had 28 minutes of play gone in this first half.
Wally Lewis about to put the ball on the mound. Well, that shook us up a little bit. It shook me up. I'd say that was scored against the run of play.
Certainly was, Mick. Well, there's the kick-off by Lewis. Prom lets it go, picks it up just short of his own in-goal, and angles across field before he's caught by Paul Kahn. And his initial progress stopped by Niebling. Taps and runs, and Queensland caught inside the 5. And the penalty will go to New Zealand. So the tries for Queensland have been scored by Chalice, who's crossed twice. The first one in the opening minute, the other tries by Lewis and Meninga. And 2 goals from 4 attempts by the big South centre, Mal Meninga. So Tamati restarts play. That's Kevin Tamati. They're not brothers, they're cousins in this New Zealand side. One hails from Taranaki, the other one from Wellington. They've both played for Australia, for New Zealand in test matches. The hooker, Howie Tamati, has played in 9 test matches, and his cousin Kevin in 11. And Kevin, in fact, is also an amateur boxer, although he's shown none of those skills out there this afternoon as well.
And quite amazing, the penalties are favouring New Zealand 3-1, and the scrums, they have 6-3. They're getting a 2-1 majority of the ball and still not doing anything with it.
Gordon Friend tried to break that first line, wrapped up in the tackle by Hancock. Tamati, West, who's a dominant factor in the match against the Gold Coast, but hasn't stood out at all this afternoon.
Well, he has stood out there, and that's about what he's done.
Tamati, Luluai, Kemble, Prom. Couldn't get around Backer. Yes, he has now, but Backer comes back. Beat the... No, he hung onto it to put him on the ground. And New Zealand have, in fact, hung onto it for 6 tackles, Mick.
For the first time in this game, so they have to be improving. Let's face facts, they could not have got worse. Forgotten to be worse.
So the scrum going down about 2 metres out from the Queensland quarter line, to be fed by Valley's halfback Mark Murray, and quite rightly so, badly fed, incorrectly fed by Mark Murray, and he's paid the penalty through the referee Eddie Ward. So Kemble moves up to try and put this ball inside the Queensland quarter. The ball into touch about 8 metres short of the Queensland line. So Kemble has played 1 test match for New Zealand. McGahn throwing the dummy. It was Tamati that went on the open side. Gall up to Friend, now to Smith. He stood in the tackle. Finally was put to ground by Mark Murray. And again, New Zealand looking pretty flat. No purpose in their attack at all. 6 more tackles to go. West tries to make some inroads. Got the pass away to Tamati. Now to Smith. And the man that was wrapped up was Luluai. And well and truly by his opposite number, Mal Meninga. On the blind side, New Zealand go. The dummy, that's McGann. And tackle well by Wally Lewis. Tamati, one of the few New Zealand forwards that have taken the play up to Queensland this afternoon.
You're not wrong. He's one of the only one that I can bring to mind.
Luluai steps, jinking run by Luluai, but he's well tackled about 10 metres, 12 metres short of the Queensland line. Now out to Smith. Whittaker to Prom. He's knocked it on. In fact, the referee has ruled that he's knocked it sideways. And finally, Meninga effecting the good tackle again. There's the kick by Smith. Well taken by Tony Curry, and is allowed to run it out of his own in goal. Kept in the field of play.
Oh, he's having a great game. He got out of trouble there, got out of it nicely. I see in the back play, Norm Carr was injured. He's up now, but holding that arm that he was holding the other evening.
Lewis, dangerous passing by Queensland in front of their own goalposts. Now Paul Kahn gets up the full head of steam, and again that good tackle by the prop forward Tamati. There's Norm Carr, back to his feet as Mick mentioned. Well, the penalty against New Zealand.
Of course, if Norm's injured, I presume Cavill Hugh would be coming on for him. But I know Norm Carr won't go off unless he's carried off, actually.
Well, this is the 4th game on the tour by New Zealand. They opened the campaign with a 36-10 win over the Gold Coast. They lost to Toowoomba by 19 points to 15, and then defeated Rockhampton by 30 points to 11. But certainly they are in all sorts of trouble out there this afternoon against a pretty well-drilled Queensland side. The side that, or virtually the side that won the Winfield State of Origin series against New South Wales. So the scrum to go down. Penalty ruled against Queensland.
The crowd giving Mr. Ward a bit of a hurry up there, but he's been correct in all his decisions. And let's face it, this hasn't been an easy game for him to referee. I might add that some of the rehearsed moves by the Queenslanders in attack They're passing at times just not quite crisp enough, and they're not coming off, but they are looking terribly ominous.
Tamati, good defence again by Queensland. The man in there was Kinescu and Morris. Tamati, that's Gall. Got it to McGann. McGann looked for the gap, but Kinescu and Morris affected the tackle again. Howie Tamati, head down, very nearly got through the first line of the Queensland defence. Look at Morris all over the top of him again. West on the blind side. That's Cole. Searching for a try. As I mentioned, he scored in the Lang Park Test here in '78. McGann, big rangy lock forward for New Zealand. He's lost the ball and dived on by Wally Lewis.
On great defence by Rowan Hancock to make him lose the ball.
Well, Hancock a bit slow to his feet. We hope that he hasn't injured that cheekbone again, because I'd say Rowan Hancock has gone very close to playing himself into the Australian Test side after some great performances against New South Wales. Lewis. Paul Kahn.
Paul Kahn sleeping out very wide for Queensland, and actually it'd be better tighter and let the second rowers get out there. But I presume he's endeavouring to do the best he can.
Backer, a dummy half. Well, the referee's whistle's gone for the knock-on. And yet another scrum packs down. We're now into the final 4 minutes of play in this first half, and Queensland leading by 16 points to 3. They've scored 4 tries to 1, and they open the scoring in the first minute of the game. Young Brad Backer, 25 years of age, playing on the left wing for Queensland this afternoon. Prom, long pass, McGann, out to Smith, Whittaker, and again some solid defence by Wally Lewis.
They're certainly winning those scrums 8-3. The New Zealanders have the scrums. Penalties favouring New Zealand 4-3.
But they're not doing anything with the ball, Mick.
No. And look at them now. If we had a wide shot, they're all standing around. Look at them like Brown's cows. I'd say the cows would be more forthright with rugby league at present than they are. Oh, very disappointing.
So Lulawai taken 10 metres short of the quarter line. Slowly to his feet. Tamati, Cole, got the pass to McGann. He split them. McGann's got the fullback to beat, and the pass has gone astray. New Zealand regain it. This is the last tackle. Well, that was a golden scoring opportunity that went missing. This could be a try by Smith. It is. So Gordon Smith scores New Zealand's second try. 16-6 the scoreline.
And it was after a break by McGann. But and here it is now in replay. Actually, that resulted after the break by McGann. He was tackled and then straight on with the play, but very scrappy football. And actually Queensland is bringing themselves undone, not taking the game seriously enough, and New Zealand starting to creep back into it. Not because of their good play, because Queensland is starting to ease off a little, which is unfortunate.
So Gordon Smith kicked 22 goals in the Tour of England in 1980, but missed the series last year against France with injury. He's played 9 test matches for New Zealand after making his debut in 1980. A chance now to convert his own try from just to the left of the uprights. Missed the first kick to convert Kemble's try, but no mistake with his own. So the scores come back to 16 points to 8 in favour of Queensland, just 2 minutes short of half-time. So really, Mick, this scoreline is...
Oh, most flattering to the New Zealanders, and let's be fair. And quite frankly, Queensland have been spilling the ball and making errors when they should have been making clean breaks. They can and are capable of playing much better football, the Queenslanders, than we're seeing here this afternoon. But Meninga's had a big first half. So has Curry and Wally Lewis, playing a very good captain's game and doing nothing wrong and doing plenty right, actually, to enhance his selection in the forthcoming Test series.
So Tony Cole to his feet. Tamati through the dummy.
No one calling for the ball there. Now that's, David, that's terrible in senior football. That's international standard, it's supposed to be.
There's the pass by West. The man in the clear is McGann again. but the final pass has gone astray. 6 more to go because Cole was the man that dived on it for New Zealand. But Queensland's defence has cracked wide open in the last few minutes of this game. Tamati, there's the hooter, and that gives Queensland a chance to go to half-time and regroup their forces, because I'm sure that Artie Beetson will have a few words to say about their defensive lapses late in this first half. But as they go, it's 16 points to 8 at half-time. More action coming up right after this commercial break. And so the man that led Queensland to the State of Origin series, Wally Lewis, about to restart play for Queensland. One change to their side in the second half. Cavill Hugh is on as replacement for Norm Carr. But there's the man playing his 7th game today for Queensland. Restarts the play. Long pass by McGann. That's Friend. Takes play up towards the quarter line.
Actually, Carr's still there, David.
So New Zealand still in possession of the ball inside their quarter line. You mentioned that Norm Carr is in fact still out there. Mick, will be interesting to know who in fact is off the field. We'll work that out for you in just a moment. Tamati, that's Gall. Well, that's solid defence again by Canescu and also Paul Kahn. Got a feeling that Brian Niebling might be off the field. I can't see him out there at the moment.
No, he isn't. He isn't there.
So Kahn runs from dummy half. There's that feeble defence again by New Zealand. The man that went low was Clayton Friend. Now Queensland on the move again through Murray. Cavalier. Well, this is his debut match for Queensland, coming on in the second half. Morris inside the quarter line. Over the top went Luluai, the New Zealand centre. Canescu in a dummy half. Murray. Hancock charges upfield. Got the pass away, and that's Challison again from the right wing, looking for work. He's broken the tackle. Still going. Chalice scores his hat-trick. Wayne Chalice, the south winger, in his debut match for Queensland, is over for try number 3. 19 points to 8, and as he started the first half, he started the second.
Oh, and big run here from Rowan Hancock to soften them up, running a little bit wide of this. But watch this. He goes past through 3 defenders, then another 2, evades the hooker, straightens up. Oh, what a magnificent run. And through 2 more. He's beaten 8 to 9 players there and beaten them beautifully.
So that puts them ahead by 19 points to 8 with the kick to come. And what a match for young Chalice. Superb match in his debut for Queensland. So Mal Meninga has kicked 2 from 4 so far. There's the New Zealanders. And might well they be having a team talk. They've certainly got some problems. Meninga moves in, raises the extras, so the scoreline is 21 points to 8 in favour of Queensland.
Here's the replay head on. Big Rowan Hancock been given orders to go a little bit wider.
And a try was never on there, Mick.
No, it wasn't. It shouldn't have been. And here he comes. The ball was flipped up to him. He was flat-footed. There's the first 3, 4. The hooker. Tamati disappears. Then he goes back the other way. Pass west. And then, of course, straight past or through Kemble and Luluai.
So Wayne Chalice, as we mentioned, his debut match, 3 tries. I'm sure he'll remember this match on Lang Park.
And as you could just see, 19 years of age.
Wally Lewis with the switch of play again. Morris, Kahn, or Cavalier gets a welcome to Lang Park. Through the big prop forward, Tamati. A bit of a rough up in the process. Kahn's left it behind him, picked up by Rod Morris. And he's met by 3 or 4 New Zealand defenders. So he's to his feet, 10 metres out from the quarter line. Murray, Lewis, little kick over the top. That's made the New Zealand defence turn. They've lost it. There's a knock-on by Queensland, finally regained by Gene Miles. But the scrum will go down. So as we mentioned, the man off the field for Queensland is the second row forward, Brian Niebling of the Valleys Club, who today played his 3rd game for Queensland, replaced by Cavalier. So 11 all the errors, 22 mistakes in 45 minutes of football.
It's a lot of mistakes.
So Mal Meninga to look for touch on that far side as the shadows creep across Lang Park. And now play will restart from about 10 metres outside the New Zealand quarter line. Lewis, there's that long pass again to Khan. Rod Morris, Cavill-Hugh, taken in the tackle.
And taking the ball up is Cavill-Hugh.
Canescu.
Looking for support, and it wasn't forthcoming. They're looking for a rehearsed move here.
Morris. Carr held the pass up through the dummy and taken in the tackle by the captain West. So Backer, Morris, Murray, Lewis, Meninga, Miles, left it behind him. New Zealand with the ball. And Gene Miles did everything to try and maintain possession there.
Even ran with it behind his back for 5 steps, which I thought was should be in a circus, actually. He did very well. Unfortunate.
It's the two Tamatis combining there, but not making any progress for New Zealand.
Kevin has been the most impressive of the two, and one of the more impressive of the Kiwis, actually.
Miles wrapping up Cole in the tackle, midway between the half and the quarter line, still New Zealand's end of the ground. West. Smith. Luluai. Got around Meninga. O'Hara. Beautiful tackle by Lewis, and the knock-on by New Zealand. What a beautiful tackle by Wally Lewis in cover defence, but Meninga missed Luluai first up.
Yes, Luluai went round him quite easily, actually, on that occasion. He did dive, but as you said, copybook cover defence from the 5'8", come lock forward there, Wally Lewis. These scrums are a schmozzle. I know it's my favourite word, but it covers everything, a multitude of sins.
Well, Eddie Ward speaking with both hookers there, not at all impressed with Tamati or Canescu. Ball in the scrum, it's wheeling. It's a Queensland ball, dived on by Chalice as Big McGann came off the back of the New Zealand pack. Murray, Lewis, through the dummy, put the man Curry in space. Oh, knocked to the ground by Whittaker, but Tony Curry split the New Zealand defence once again. Lewis, Murray, straightened up play, beat 1, beat 2. Norm Carr, ankle tapped by the fullback Kemble, and he's been penalised for passing it off the ground, Mick.
And a correct decision. He was down and out and should have got up, played the ball quickly, would have been more to the point. That was a pass definitely off the ground, but all Queensland looking very good in attack, and they're turning the ball back in and going up the middle, which is a pity because I did want to see the flank men moving this afternoon.
Well, I must admit, Mick, the man that did get on the clear a moment ago, O'Hara, looked pretty toey when he got the ball.
Yes. Well, they have the ability, I think. They showed that down the coast. They ran onto the ball and they played very good, what we call up here, contract football, but they're not doing it this afternoon, only in dribs and drabs.
West, Smith. It's good defence by the halfback Murray, also by Wally Lewis. On the blind side come New Zealand. Meninga finally kept Cole in check. Only about a metre out from the quarter line, New Zealand's end of the ground. Tamati runs from dummy half, and Morris comes over the top. Hancock was the man that went around the legs. Gall. Well, this is just straight up the middle at the moment by New Zealand. No pattern of play whatsoever with the possession of the ball, and they take the tackle on number 6.
Would have been interesting to hear what Seth Mountford had to say to them at half-time, but he certainly must have been displeased with their first half display.
Penalty to New Zealand, and the man Mick was speaking about, Seth Mountford, the coach of the New Zealand side, was the captain of Wigan in 1950 and was the New Zealand coaching director from 1961 to 1971, and a delightful little fellow, Mick, isn't he?
Oh yes, a real gentleman. Credit to the game.
So Meninga's kick for touch takes play about 5 metres out from the New Zealand 22. Play to be restarted by Canescu, the North's hooker from Brisbane. Today playing his 3rd match in maroon colours. That long rugby union pass again from Wally Lewis. Cavill-Hugh beat 2 tackles, lost the ball. And another scrum will pack down. So the error count certainly mounting.
And so is the scrum counter against Queensland. 9-4. Beg your pardon, 8-4 at present.
So the scrum going down, centre of the field, just outside the 22, New Zealand's end of the ground. And again, Eddie Ward having trouble with that scrum. The hooker Tamati not down at all as yet. And Queensland win the ball. Well, I don't think Howie Tamati had a real good look at that ball coming into the tunnel, Mick.
No, he had his head nowhere in the scrum at all.
There's Gene Miles. Support. Well, that should have been a penalty because Norm Carr was tackled without the ball by Tamati. Lewis. Now Curry, from a standing start, showed a clean pair of heels and a good tackle by Kemble that takes him into touch. Well, he really is a bright young prospect, young Tony Curry. He was a member of the Brisbane squad during the KB Cup Series this year, and today playing his first full match for Queensland. But I think he could be around for quite a while, Mick.
My word, there he is, 19, 11 stone. Tell you what, 11 stone. He looks a little smaller than that. It might be in an army coat wringing wet, eh?
So play goes to the quarter line. The man wrapped up was Gary Prom. And the New Zealand wingers have seen very little of the ball this afternoon. Now they can get a chance. Smith well tackled by young Chalice. He's had a top debut today, Wayne Chalice. Whittaker got the pass away to McGann. Lulaway will score for New Zealand. Third try to New Zealand scored by James Lulaway of Auckland. And the score comes back to 21 points to 11.
And if you have a look at this on the replay, New Zealand, it's grafting type of football. Very short passes. Once again, McGann featuring very strongly. And actually he's featured in every try so far for New Zealand. But they go from a standing start. It is not pretty football. Look at this, short head on to McGann, a short pass up. And then another short pass.
And this is pretty good finishing when it comes by Lulaway, James Lulaway of Auckland. He's also played with Hull in the United Kingdom.
Well, actually Smith playing it forward because there was no marker. And not good defence here, but the short passes well effective. And here he is, he's away here. And I tell you what, more speed than I gave him credit for. There's his 25, 13-2, plays centre and has had 10 tests and made his debut in 1979.
There's the kick by Smith, that's off target. So the scoreline is 21 points to 11 in favour of Queensland here at Lang Park. Well, Mick, each of the tries have come from a standing start, and they do finish well, but they've still got a few deficiencies, I think.
Oh, yes. I can just imagine what the green and gold would do to New Zealand today. But then again, they have a habit of lifting their games for the Test series. Let's hope they can do it. But I feel they're used to being in the mud. There's another mistake. Queensland getting the ball back. And it just does not look good football to me. They stand around and then all of a sudden one of them takes off and then they back him up bit by bit. I suppose the end result counts, but it certainly doesn't look effective to me. I suppose the end result coming up, no matter how you do it, points on the board.
So Queensland have scored 5 tries to 3. Lewis, there's Curry again. Broke the first line, but finally wrapped up by Dane O'Hara. Chalice, the pass to Lewis. Quick pass to Hugh. Stepped off the right foot. Got the pass away. Khan. Meninga. Beautiful pass. Gene Miles had the support outside of Becker and a try. Try to Brad Becker. That's only his second try in 12 games for Queensland. 24 points to 11 the scoreline.
Good stuff from Queensland. The ball just moving. Actually, I thought Cavill Hugh may have gone too far, but he did get the pass onto Khan, and from then on it was quick hands. I thought Gene Miles may have made a mistake coming inside, but he knew what he was doing. He knew he had Backer outside. He was just taking the defence out of play, and they did it well. Look at this, the ball beating the man. But here's where I thought we may have made a mistake, but Cavalhue getting a good steady pass away to Khan, and then from then on it was shut the gate.
Well, I tend to agree with you. When Miles stepped back in, I thought that was the end of the try, but it was a beautiful one-handed pass and good finishing by the Eastern Suburbs winger, Brad Backer. So he made his debut against the rest in 1978, today his 13th match for Queensland. And as I mentioned, only his second try. So 24 points to 11. Queensland led by 16 points to 8 at the half-time break. Mal Meninga taking plenty of time over this kick. Moves in, there's the kick. And it's there. A great kick by Mal Meninga. And Queensland lead by 26 points to 11. Well, that kick, Mick, is called rubbing salt into the wound.
Yes, you're right again.
So Queensland received from the kick-off, and Chalice taking play up to about 14, 15 metres out from the halfway line. Queensland's end of the ground. Konescu runs from dummy half. The two Tarmatis combine for New Zealand to put him on the ground. Norm Carr at dummy half. Paul Kahn, Rowan Hancock. Couldn't beat the tackle of McGann. This time they'll come towards the commentary side of Lang Park through Morris. Stumbled over his own feet and then came to the tackle of Howie Tamati, and also to the little halfback Clayton Friend. Paul Kahn, just a metre short of halfway on the last tackle.
Khan's been trying hard all day, had a few handling errors early, but certainly his work rate's up and he's been trying very hard indeed.
That's a beautiful little chip by Lewis. Curry couldn't get the bounce. It's gone behind the fullback Kemble. He's regained it for New Zealand. Luluai, wrapped up by Kahn, also by Hancock, and also by Konescu. 11 metres out from the quarter line, New Zealand's end of the ground. The man that decides to make the run is the prop forward Bruce Gall of Taranaki. Got the pass away to Tamati, but he's driven back by Miles and also by Mark Murray. Play in the centre of the field now. The man going into dummy half is Cole. Out to Tamati, the prop forward. He's driven back by Cavalhue with the assistance of Rod Morris. 17 minutes of play gone in the second half. McGann has the ball knocked behind him, dived on by Smith. 6 more tackles awarded to New Zealand. From dummy half goes Prom. Takes play up to about 8 metres short of halfway before he's buried in the Lang Park turf on the far side. There's Tamati on the boil, but left the ball behind him, picked up by West. He's thrown a loose pass, knocked sideways, but finally the referee will pull it back for the scrum in New Zealand's end of the ground. So again, the referee having problems with that scrum. Both hookers guilty of the loose arm at the moment. Oh, that's a disgraceful scrum. New Zealand have won it. On the blind side goes Friend. Got through the tackle of Curry, but couldn't beat Brad Backer on that far wing. Now that's a more determined run by New Zealand. That was the prop forward Gall, but he was buried again right in the middle of the halfway line.
That's how he ran when he played against the Gold Coast, but I haven't only seen one effort like that.
Meninga wraps up the 5'8" Smith. Morris also came in to lend the assistance. The scrums favouring New Zealand 10-5, the penalties favouring New Zealand 5-4. But the scoreline in favour of Queensland by 26 points to 11. And we've got just on 21 minutes of play remaining in the second half. Oh, that's a dreadful mistake again by New Zealand. Well, Mick, we don't like to criticise touring sides, but their handling today has left a lot to be desired.
Yes, and I really can't see there's what Tony Cole from the West Coast. 29 tests Cole has played, and that's not a bad average for anybody. But they all look, I don't know, lethargic, disinterested in the game, I was going to say, the New Zealanders. Slow to recover. Look at them, just trotting back, not keen to get on with the game at all.
Well, they've lacked purpose, they've lacked penetration, and the tries they've scored have been virtually from broken play. Now it goes across their back line again. Luluai, the fullback Kemble, and a great covering tackle again by Gene Miles. Copybook football that time by the Wynnum centre. Now Tamati. He's been the most impressive of the Kiwis this afternoon. Howie Tamati, a dummy half. Switch back to Gall. Good tackle by Conescu. Howie Tamati. Smith to Friend. His progress was halted out there by Cavill-Hugh. Gordon Smith of the West Coast in New Zealand pivots and runs from dummy half. Lost the ball again. Oh, nobody wanted it for Queensland. A misunderstanding there between the two Valleys players, Wally Lewis and Mark Murray, but the knock-on's been ruled.
That should have been Queensland's ball for sure, but well recovered by Tamati.
Mark Murray stood them up again, and a good tackle by the fullback Kemble. And there's Chalice in there.
Yes, I think they were going to come to grips, although they've stopped. I'd say it was a bit of a late tackle on Murray.
Chalice again made good progress for Queensland. Conescu, Khan, Cavill-Hugh. Around the ankles went McGann, and he goes to ground right in the middle of the halfway line. So Conescu again a dummy half. Out to Wally Lewis. Cut out the centre, Gene Miles, gave it to Curry, and good defence out there by John Whittaker. Whittaker, a veteran of 23 test matches, is the tour vice captain. Gene Miles. Last tackle now for Queensland. Watch for Wally Lewis. Will he angle it for touch, or will he put the ball in the air? He's put it high in the air. That's put pressure on Kemble. Lewis coming through. Lewis took it, did he, or did Kemble come up with it? Disputed possession, and it's a New Zealand ball. Luluai bumped off one tackle. Got around Chalice. No, he didn't. Chalice, in fact, took him very close to this grandstand touchline. Gene Miles did very lucky he wasn't penalised on that occasion. Dane O'Hara, the Auckland winger, takes play up outside the quarter. Again, the New Zealanders one out. That's better play. The pass by Tamati to McGann. And they take play up towards the halfway line. Tamati. And I think he's lost the ball again. It was Cavill-Hugh that came up with it. Conescu. Carr split them. No, he hasn't. Good cover by Friend. Oh, and he got a little bit of what for as well.
He's been putting a bit in all day, but I'm sure... Oh, he says he bit my arm. The only time Carr bit his arm is when it moved into Carr's mouth at about 20 knots. But he put a little bit on Mark Murray in back play too. There is his stats.
It's 10 stone 7 against 14 stone 10. I don't like the odds of that, Mick.
I think he'd be pretty game. He's a cocky little fellow, but...
Well, this is what the penalty led to. Norm Carr.
Well, he's tripped him in the first place, and there it is. And hello, yes, Norm did bite him too, I might add. I've got to be honest. Hey, he's barracudaed him, and I didn't see it.
So the penalty now is an attempted conversion by Mal Meninga. It's about 9 metres out from the quarter line. Queensland leading by 26 points to 11. We've had 23 minutes of play gone in the second half. Mal Meninga has kicked 4 goals so far. Before this game started, scored 70 points for Queensland, so now that, with the try, means 81 points. Moves in, and Meninga's now scored 83 points for Queensland since his debut in 1979. The scoreline, 28 points to 11 in favour of Queensland. Meninga, I would say, on his performance today, Mick, could well have played himself into the Australian side for the first test match here next weekend at Lang Park.
I don't think he's done his chances any harm, and certainly a lot of good, as you say.
And 7 have gained the exclusive rights of the test coverage against New Zealand this year. So I'll be watching 7 Sport for the remainder of the 82 season to follow the international series between Australia and New Zealand. But Queensland leading the game by 28 points to 11 on the boil again through Conescu. Well tackled by McGann. So the replacement forward for Brian Niebling is Cavill-Hugh. That's him over halfway now. Again, the man around the ankles was Clayton Friend. Conescu, Friend affecting the tackle again. Oh, that's everybody's error there, and New Zealand have come up with the ball. Tamati has lacked support with those charging runs upfield this afternoon. But certainly hasn't lacked any courage out there. This man has been the disappointment, in my opinion, after seeing him down on the Gold Coast. And that's the big second row forward, Graham West.
I would have to agree. He's calling the ball on the blind now.
He's not running with the same fervour that he was against some not as spirited opposition as the Queensland side this afternoon. But Graham West has played 12 tests for New Zealand. There's a long pass by Lewis. Meninga works up steam. Oh, he's just brushed off the centre, Whittaker again. Meninga. The pass has gone astray. New Zealand get it back, but I'm sure that John Whittaker will have some nightmares about Mal Meninga tonight.
Oh, what a great run for a centre. He pushed off one, then ran round the winger, and he had that done to him once today, I must point out as well, but still, he's done it, and oh, what a powerhouse. And as you say, well over 6 feet and 16 stone, and he doesn't look anything over 5 foot, because over 5'6" anyhow, because of his build. A big fellow. And
so John Whittaker, the man that he stepped around, 23 test matches, as I mentioned. He's a player that can play either fullback, and he's also played at loose forward as well for New Zealand. So he's a player that's certainly been around in the black and white of the Kiwis.
There's plenty of experience, and let's face it, they need the experience too of those fellows down in Sydney.
Although when you look at his age, Mick, he's 32 years of age. It could be catching up with him a little bit. He had no chance of trying to catch Meninga once Meninga made that break.
They find that coming off the soft grounds in New Zealand, you can get away with age over there. Similarly in England, you can get away with age carrying it, but once you hit the Australian grounds, that hard turf certainly cuts the years back. I know.
So Queensland on the attack. Murray on the blind side with Lewis. A stepping run by the Queensland captain. Back now for Rowan Hancock. That's his turn to charge upfield. Got the pass away. Picked up beautifully by Miles. But he's claimed by Lululai. About 12 metres out from the New Zealand line. I think the man injured on the ground is Rowan Hancock. We hope for his sake that's not a serious injury. Brad Backer. But Hancock hasn't moved.
Yes, he's moving his feet now.
Well, he made his debut in 72, but I'm sure is on the short list for the Australian team to play New Zealand here at Lang Park next weekend after a very impressive State of Origin series this year.
Yes, same problem, only this time it's a different side of the head. Left side of the head in Sydney, right side this time.
So Rowan Hancock receiving attention as the scrum packs down on the far side. He doesn't look all that well out there. He took the gamble by playing this afternoon. I'm sure that if he had rested, he would have been in that side next weekend, but he could have now aggravated an injury that may rule him out. So 28-11 the scoreline. The Queenslanders have already used their replacement forward up in Cavill Hugh, but Greg Holman, I would say, would be a player that could easily slot in. He's a pretty tough customer. Lulawai left the ball away again, picked up by Chalice, got the pass away to Miles. He comes to the quarter line and finally goes to ground. So Rowan Hancock is back to his feet, and that's good news for Queensland and also Australia. Wally Lewis. Here's Curry from the standing start again, this time wrapped and put to the ground by the 5'8" Smith.
Chalice and Meninga having a little chat out here. They're summing up who put something on each of them, and that is true. There they are. They had a little chat back there and looked down the field, pointing out because Meninga was just a little close to get up. They both, of course, club mates, and Meninga probably giving Chalice a little bit of a lift along because Chalice ran into one down there. We didn't see it, or not a lot of people saw it, but I did.
So the penalty to Queensland. Just over 10 minutes of play remaining as Rowan Hancock leaves the field and Greg Holman comes on. And Tedescu takes play up inside the quarter line. So that's a wise decision by the Queensland management to bring Rowan Hancock off the field. There's Curry.
Curry's through. He's got a ton of pace. Tony Curry for the corner. Yes! A try to Queensland. And Tony Curry, a well-deserved try by the young Western Suburbs fullback.
31-11, and looking better all the time. Queensland, there's no doubt about it. They want to use this back line much, much more. Meninga didn't do much. Bit of a double round. Here it comes. Now he's beaten 1, 2, 3, and now he shows his speed. And actually, really good tactics. He dived well back and skidded to the line, and that was good tactics because there was no earthly way he'd have made it if he'd have stood up and gone for the corner.
Well, here it comes again, and as we watch the replay, 4 marks there to our backpack cameraman, Ralph Marshall, who was right on the spot there to record that great bit of vision of Tony Curry going over. Here it is from another angle as he crosses in the corner. And a great try, Tony Curry in his debut match. Full debut match for Queensland. And a superb bit of teamwork there by the 7 camera crew here in direction of John Evans. So Mal Meninga with the attempted conversion of Tony Curry's try.
There's no doubt about it. Curry dived for the corner when he was, 5 to 6 metres out. And there was no chance if he tried to stand up and go for a look. Not a bad kick, but it's going to be waved away by Meninga.
So 31 points to 11 the scoreline, and we've got just on 9 minutes of play remaining in the second half. So the restart of play by New Zealand, picked up by Chalice, the young man that's made such an impressive debut for Queensland this afternoon.
And actually there is a dearth of wingers. I know there's a few going round in Sydney. I don't know you're getting this call down there, but this guy could, if he keeps up that type of play, could play himself onto a boat, as we say too.
Well, he certainly has done nothing wrong this afternoon, Mick. He's been more than his equal of the very seasoned campaigner on Zealand, Dane O'Hara. He's a veteran of 17 test matches and also experience in England.
And Chalice has made him look like a hack, as we use the old term.
So the penalty to New Zealand. Kemble coming up now to look for touch as the Lang Park ground is virtually bathed in total shadow at the moment. Now the restart of play from about 12 metres out from the Queensland line. Tamati, as he's done all day, takes play up on that first tackle. Well tackled by Rod Morris. Howie Tamati, a dummy half. Galls knocked it on again. Well, they just cannot hang on to the ball for 6 tackles.
They'll have to do better than that. There's Gall, most impressive in the first game. 14 stone.
Lewis. Greg Holborn. Well, he's made his impact straight away on the game. Meninga, beautiful pass to Backer. Too much pace for Crom. It was ankle tapped and finally went to ground. So Greg Holborn again straight to take the ball up from the first man off the ruck. Queensland move it quickly across the back line. Well, there's Gene Miles. 14 stone 10 of him, taking play inside New Zealand territory. Paul Kahn. So the Queenslanders have now scored 7 tries to 3. Cavill Hugh. Loose pass. Carr. Meninga. Meninga says, stop me if you can. This time the New Zealand defence, well, it takes 2 or 3 of them to finally put him onto ground, and they couldn't put him into touch on the far side. Wally Lewis, the long pass again. Brilliant pass to Paul Kahn. Tony Curry. Chalice, his first mistake of the afternoon. So Wally Lewis, the captain of the Queensland side, a bit of a mark on the top lip, but I don't think that'll be worrying Wally too much. He's led Queensland now to 3 victories out of 4 in 1982 and has probably cemented a place in the Australian side with this performance today. Whittaker, that's another bad mistake under pressure by Meninga. New Zealand still with the ball. Clayton Friend saw the gap. Closed through Mark Murray, but he's still going.
As I said, he looked a tough little cookie, and he is.
New Zealand again through McGann and West.
West just walking, and that's not good enough. You've got to really run onto the ball.
Well, he's 6'5" and 16 stone. A man with that build should make an impact on a game of football, but he certainly hasn't done anything like that this afternoon. And particularly when you think he's out there leading the New Zealanders, Mick.
Yes, true.
Lulawai put it in the air. Chalice was taken out before he got possession. The referee wisely is playing advantage rule. Norm Carr wrestled to the ground by Dane O'Hara. So Chalice down injured. That left ankle giving him a little bit of concern. Cavill Hugh takes play over halfway. Chalice finally to his feet. Finescu.
And if his ankle's that bad, the lad should go off. There it is.
He's not moving freely. Mark Murray. Oh, he's driven to the ground again by Clayton Friend. Clayton Friend is the heir apparent to Shane Varley and Smith for the Test halfback spot. Wally Lewis lost it. Picked up by Prom. Fullback Kemble. Tackled by Paul Kahn and Mark Murray. So a penalty against Mark Murray for not getting off the man playing the ball. And Kemble, the man in possession, will look for touch on Wayne Chalice's wing. And in fact finds it about 2 metres short of halfway. About 3.5 minutes remaining in this match. That has belonged to Queensland from the first minute of the game when young Wayne Chalice scored his first of 3 tries this afternoon. The game this afternoon has been watched by the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Mr. Bill Hayden, who is a guest of the Queensland Rugby League this afternoon. The penalties favouring New Zealand 7-6, and they're leading the scrums by 12-7, but trailing in the most vital part of the game, the scoreline, 31 points to 11. Mark Murray, with the blood coming down that right cheek, feeds the scrum, and the penalty goes against Queensland. The referee, Eddie Ward of Brisbane, penalising Queensland once again. So the penalty is now favouring New Zealand by 8-6. And of course the Test series between Australia and New Zealand will be refereed by the neutral referee, Mr. Fred Lindop. The first Test match here at Lang Park next Saturday. And as we mentioned, Sevens cameras will be there. Gall. Ball kept alive. Smith. But Queensland's defence is too strong. And a scoring opportunity goes begging for New Zealand. McGann, a dummy half, 9 metres out from the Queensland line. They go on the far side again. Cole, the switch of play to Friend. Looking for the gap. Still standing. Stepped under Meninga's tackle. But the battle of the bantamweights there, Mark Murray and also Clayton Friend sees Friend go on the ground. Smith, Tamati. Passes astray. O'Hara goes back in defence. The man at dummy half is McGann. Gall. Showing the determination in the last 3 minutes of play that it probably should have shown in the first 3 minutes, Mick.
Yes, well, the start, yes, from the first 3 minutes.
There's Cole. And again, look at those Queensland defenders.
3 smothering him.
What variation will they use from the 6th tackle? They haven't hung on to it long enough for us to get a guide of that this afternoon. Well, as per normal, they've knocked the ball away. This could be a try by O'Hara. Steps inside Curry. And O'Hara, in fact, will go around and score near the posts. So New Zealand score their 4th try just a minute and a half short of full time.
And it was really set up. I know the ball came out loosely, but it was set up by Kevin Tamati, the big front rower. Here's the drop ball. Now, he comes up on the burst. There he is, drew his man beautifully and basically unmarked. Curry having no chance coming across there to stop him. And over, Wally Lewis trying to finish off. And here's the replay from head on, the drop ball. And then that beautiful pass from Tamati. That's Kevin Tamati, the front row, and he's been a player that's moved up and been most impressive. And he can hold his head up quite high this evening.
So Gordon Smith has converted the try, so the scoreline 31 points to 16. That last try scored by Dane O'Hara. Comedy of errors there. The ball's gone forward both ways. The referee is playing advantage as Gall goes to ground. So time ticking away. That's the hooter. 31 points to 16. And in doing so, Queensland raced in 7 tries to 4, 3 of them by young South swinger Wayne Chalice, who in fact is our man of the match. But for his full-time comments, here's Mick Vevers.
I tell you what, I was disappointed with that game, David. Straight off, I have to say. I thought New Zealand would come out and do much, much better. They didn't have to do too much to be much better than they were today. I was disappointed. The only player basically was Kevin Tamati, who, the front rower, who did his job and did it very well, but he didn't have too many friends. Probably little Clayton friend, speaking of friends, was pretty tenacious all day, but he had no support. They won plenty of ball to do something with, but just didn't do it. They spilt it all day. Their fundamentals were lacking. They didn't have good attack, and their defence was non-existent in the ruck as well as out wide. And Meninga and company had a picnic out there. And our forwards, they won the ball. Well, they didn't win the ball, but they tackled in the middle and let our backs do the job. And I really feel that none of the Queenslanders did anything wrong with their test chances coming up or their tour chances, and particularly young Wayne Chalice and Tony Curry. I was most impressed with those 2 youngsters. They're only 19 and they had really rippers of games. And that type of thing, those personalities, young personalities in the game, kept it alive. But other than that, it was pretty disappointing as far as I was concerned.
Okay, those full-time comments by Mick Vevers. The final scoreline, Queensland 31 defeated New Zealand 16. Well, our cameras will be back here at Lang Park for the first international. Next Saturday, be sure to be viewing 7 to catch all the rugby league action in 1982. From Lang Park in Brisbane, this has been David Fordham and Mick Vevers for 7 Sport.